Hey guys, it's Maymay and welcome to Stampin' Saturday, and that's the day of the week when I play with stuff we carry in our online store at maymaymadeit.com and show you guys some different ways of using it or some fun ways to stretch the product. Speaking of, this is the Brutus Monroe masking paper that we carry. I ended up cutting a 2.5 inch strip off. The reason is what I'm going to use it for. Here's another cool thing. This paper has this place, here it is, to help you peel this off. I love that feature. It makes getting the backer off super easy. And I'm going to put this down onto a piece of cardstock the same size. And I'll show you why in just a second. So you can see I've got masking paper on top of a piece of scrap cardstock. Don't worry, your cardstock can be any color. It really honestly doesn't matter. It's just scrap for the back here. And I'm going to use a border punch on this end and this end of this piece. The reason I put it onto the piece of cardstock is because this sticky masking paper can be a little rough on your punches because it's got adhesive, but when I stick it onto cardstock, it seems to do fine. I'll be able to peel it right off in just a few minutes and use it, but that is just kind of how I'm getting around the stickiness and not gumming up my punches. Probably could stick it onto even copy paper or something and make it happen, but doing it this way, it doesn't mess with my punches too bad. And I'm punching both sides. What I'm making is a frilly looking, doily looking mask, which is what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to line this up now. There we go. And for me, this little frilly doily punch was really nice when I played around and did like a sample of this project. It was really pretty. The other reason I like to do this, these little bitty pieces, if you punch just the masking paper, they stick to things because the little backer will come off in those little sizes. But this way works great. I also saved the backer that I pulled off so I could use this again. All right, so now we're going to remove it from the cardstock. What I'm doing here is taking my tweezers and I'm just going to separate the masking paper and the cardstock on the end. See how I'm just running that in there? And I'm just going to kind of pick this off as easy as I can. It's masking paper, so it'll come off. You do have to be careful because I used a really frilly border punch. How many times can I say frilly? Now, honestly, that's totally usable. That's nice cardstock and it's beautiful. I think I'm going to put that in my stash for later. And now I'm going to use this on the front of a piece of card mat. So this is a 4 1/4. This is a 4 by 5 1/4 piece. And now I'm going to take this mask and put it right on top here of our piece. I didn't get it exactly perfect, so I may do a little trim down here in a few minutes, but that's what I want. I want it kind of in the middle. Now I'm going to my trusty messy notebook. This notebook is just about ready for the trash can. It's about had it, but this is an old notebook I use whenever I'm inking or anything like that, and we're going to do some distress inking on this guy. I decided I want to use mustard seed. That's a nice bright yellow. And so I've got an inking pad on my little ink blending tool. And I'm going to ink first this pattern onto the page. What I'm going to do is take my tool and start on the mask and then off and rotate in a circle. So see how I get the heaviest spot on the mask? That's what I'm doing. Lightly start on the mask and rotate out. Will keep you from getting big circle blobs and you'll get the kind of faded yellow we're looking for. That yellow is actually going to be the background for some stamping we're going to do on top of this as well. And we're going to have this pretty little doily pattern behind it. I think this is really neat and a fun way to use punches. And if you guys know me, I have quite the collection of border punches because I love them. Now I'm dragging to the edge. You see how I did that? What's going to happen is when we peel this off, you may not think we've changed that white color very much, but under here is going to be stark white for a sentiment. And so as I'm doing this, when I get the color as dark as I want it at the doily part or at the border part, I'm just going to start pulling out to kind of change that entire color of that end of the page. Now I'm going to flip it around. Do it again. So I've done both sides and now we're going to do some stamping. Now you might want to let this dry a little bit because I am going to stamp right on top of it. And I'm actually going to use flowers from my stamp set called Floral Kaleidoscope. Let me show you that set. This is what that set looks like. I'm going to use a bunch of the smaller flowers. You could use the bigger ones too. And I may decide to use it because I love these swirly shapes on these flowers. So we're going to use that and we're going to stamp on top of this masking. Now let me pick some colors. So I'm using some Memento inks. The way I pick colors is this. I look and go, ooh, I love this for an orange, this for a green, this for a pink, and I just put them together and see how they look. And I think this is gonna work. I know it's a little weird, but I think it's gonna work. It doesn't matter which image you start with because they're gonna overlap each other anyway. But what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to ink up like this little skeleton-y flower. It's a kaleidoscope flower. And I'm just going to start stamping on top of that frilly border. And I'm going to kind of go out and in with the images. Some of them are going to be way on the border and some of them are going to be way out. And the further out you go, the more design you get. It's just pretty. You'll just have to see it when we peel it off. And that's my favorite part, is the peeling off. I love the reveal of this. I think it is so fun. All right, so now what I'm going to do is change my stamp. Let me move this up. I'm going to show you. This is some baby wipes. I just roll up into like a little pad, and then I just clean these as I go. That's the best way for me to do that. Let's change to another flower. So now I've got a bigger kind of skeleton kaleidoscope flower, and I'm going to use the orange. So now I'm taking the bigger of the flowers, a different shape one, more pointy, and I'm going to use it in the orange and just kind of add to what we've got here. And you don't have to really fill in all the spaces because we're going to use a lot of stamps, so we're going to have some other ones to go in here too. Just stamp around and play. Just kind of work in a zigzag with the images. I think you'll like the way it turns out better that way instead of a straight line. Now I'm going to use the little leaves and come in and put those here and there. And I'm using a very pale green because I want it to fill in, but I really want it to be in the background. Now I've got another one of those skeleton-y leaves, and I'm going to use the teal for it and see what else we can do with some pops of color here and there. Just play around and have a good time, and we'll see what we get. Now it sort of looks like a jumbled mess, so that's where I'm going to stop. That's kind of how I do it. Okay, this looks like a mess. This is where we should stop. So what we're going to do now is peel our mask away and see what we got. Look how cool that is. Look how we got those border edges, and you can see the doily. Let me show you. You can see the shape of the doily in there as well. The reason for the inking is to make that doily really pop and to give these guys a place to live and some color behind them. If you do this without the blending of the ink, then you don't quite see the doily shape as well, and I think it's beautiful. So now we can turn this into a card. Now I'm taking a stamp from this kind of fall stamp set that I have that's called Blessings, and I'm going to use this one that says Praise God from whom all blessings flow and put here on the front of this card. I think this beautiful swirly sentiment is going to be so pretty right there. Look how pretty that is. I love how this turned out. I think this is gorgeous. You could do this so many ways. And I love using the punches for the shape here on our little edging. However, you don't have to use the punches. You could just mask off. I've done that for you before in other projects, but I love getting the look of the doily on both ends. Okay, let's put this onto a card. So now I've cut two mats. I have a black mat here just to go around the edge. And then to really make it pop, I'm going to add a yellow mat that'll give us just a tiny line. Look how pretty that's going to be, right? All right, so let's attach these together. And I'm not going to put any foam or anything. I'm just going to glue these pieces straight to each other. So I'm going to put glue on the back of our white piece and glue it straight down to the black and just try to center it the best I can in that black mat. Pick it up and look at it if you need to. Get that as straight as you can. When you're working with skinny mats like this, it gets a little hard because they're so thin. Now I'm going to glue this one to the yellow. When I say skinny mats, when you're leaving a tiny edge around the border, it's a little harder to get them to look perfectly centered because you're not leaving as much around the edge. And that is far from perfect, but I still think it's pretty. And now I'm going to put this directly onto the front of a card base. And it's actually the full size of the card itself because I did the double mats, but I think they made such a difference on that. And then this is going to go directly on the front of our card base, just like so. And I want to show you something. If you ever do that, just like I did, you saw how I put it there and stood it up and matched it up. Just because things are not perfect, this was actually a pre-made card base that I'm using, but it is not perfect. I have a little bit of a white edge showing. I'm going to come and just trim that off with my scissors, just so that it'll be perfect. There we go. Okay. Now you can do anything you want on the inside of this card. I'm not. I'll tell you why. A lot of times people ask me about the inside of the card. I'm going to save this for when I need it. And because this is a pretty generic sentiment that can be used for lots of different occasions, I don't know what I'm going to put inside here. But when I do, I'll have the card for it. I can always come back and stamp inside of it later. All right, guys, that is Stampin' Saturday. I hope you enjoyed this one. I love how this card looks. I'm actually going to zoom you in so you can see that border well. You see how pretty that little frilly border is inside the flowers? I think it's really pretty. I hope you guys try this, and if you do, I want to see it over on our Facebook page, which is called Maymay Made It, and so did I. I love to see what you guys are making because you guys usually take these techniques and bump them up about 1,000 notches. So we appreciate all of your inspiration. Thanks so much for watching today. And if you're watching this video in February of 2017, we have a huge giveaway going on. Check out the video that has to do with that. I'll link below, and I'll also put in an iCard here so you can get involved in that giveaway. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.